Welcome to Kickin with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry, Ricken, and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you retire with purpose and live with joy. Find more information, including how to reach the team, in today's show notes. Now, Kickin with the Rickens, powered by Ricken Financial.
Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening to Kickin with the Rickens podcast. We are here with retirement planner Heidi Ricken Provost and licensed insurance professional Gerry Ricken. My name is Mark Owens. We invite you to get more at rickenfinancial.com. You can get all the information here in the show notes. Thanks again for subscribing. Now, let's get to the show. Hybrid retirement was a topic of conversation before we got started this weekend, Gerry. And you have no desire to slow down and all the desires to travel and continue traveling. First and foremost, how are y'all doing this weekend?
You know, every day is a holiday, as I've always said, Mark. And, you know, and today is no different, because I hope every one of you out there is enjoying the beautiful almost fall weather in St. Louis.
Oh, I wish we had fall.
Yeah. Someday we will actually have a cooler, but then
I mean, who wants to pick pumpkins when it's like almost 90 degrees outside?
But fall is going to come, but no, we'll have another fall and then another fall.
But I have a rule. My rule is if it is above 60, I'm still pulling the shorts. Pull over all day long. I love me some pullovers. But once it drops below 60, back to pants weather.
Well, you know, that's an interesting philosophy, especially from someone from the South. Usually my friends in Wisconsin do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
I thought you were going to say it's an interesting philosophy that you're wearing pants, because sometimes,
I'm glad that you do wear pants to both of you, just have to say.
Well, it gets a little muggy, a little swampy down. So
I know. And when you do look at us when we're doing our podcast, you can only see from the waist up. So, or our radio program, when you see us, it looks like
at least we're wearing pants.
And we actually do have full clothing on. But yes, a hybrid retirement, Mark. You know, Heidi actually can speak to this a little bit better than I can, because they don't ask me as much as they ask her.
We brought this up because everyone who I've been meeting with lately has been like, hey, when's your dad going to retire? And it's a funny story, because I'm like, what is retirement? I mean, we're just retirement planners. Why on earth would we plan for someone's retirement in our own fold? Because at the end of the day, when you love what you do like we do, you don't feel like you're working. And the too long didn't read version, I don't think I'll ever see the guy next to me retire.
Probably not.
Just like we said, you want to do something that feeds your soul in retirement. And this feeds my soul every day, helping people and working with Heidi and just having fun doing what we're doing and trying to do the best for our clients. So when people say, well, hey, when are you going to retire? Well, we talk about the go-go years in retirement, and that's the years when you're in maybe your 60s to 70s, and you go and do experience things, and you want to go do things. You have the health, and you do that. Well, Sheila and I are doing that right now. Mm-hmm. We've done that a couple of times. We've taken a couple of trips this year already, and we're actually engulfing onto a new adventure. One of my cousins has their 50th wedding anniversary coming up in November. It just so happens to be in our native country of Germany. So we're going over to visit family for a week in November, but that's part of our retirement plan, because we can do that. We can actually work remotely. And by the way, I still will be checking email and that kind of thing when I'm in the old country, but I just can't help myself, and I'll be checking in. But that's what I love to do. And if you love what you do and you do what you love, why change it?
Yeah.
100%. And we were having a discussion, and Dad was like, we got invited to the 50th wedding anniversary, but I don't want to put all the work on you for me to be gone. And I'm like, book the trip and get the hell out of here and go enjoy, because
that is exactly the words that came out of her mouth.
At the end of the day, how cool celebrating 50 years together when we live in a society where we're spending more and more time talking about gray divorce and all these people who can't seem to get along and figure things out. To celebrate the love story of an amazing couple who have been through a lot too. 50 years of marriage, that is something that you cannot miss. It doesn't matter what part of the world we're in. We go and we celebrate with our family. So I am so excited for my parents to be able to go there and spend some time with the German cousins.
Another one of our cousins is he and his sister are coming. Because he is the Bishop of Green Bay, Wisconsin. He's going to be celebrating the Mass.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be a lot of fun.
Now I have FOMO.
Yep.
It's official.
So Bishop Ricken and Carol are coming to celebrate Garrett and Helga's 50th wedding anniversary.
This is something that we talk about every weekend here on Kickin with the Rickens, is you work your entire life Go enjoy the fruits of your labor, not to sound like a cliche. What is it? We work 90,000 hours in our lifetime. Go enjoy
I feel like I
it.
did that last week when Heidi was out of town.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned, Gerry, you mentioned that even though you're going to be at this wedding, you're going to be in Germany, you're still going to be checking the email. You can't completely check out 100%. I feel you on that one. I want to get mad. I want to say get off the grid, but I think we have been trained, we as Americans, we as adults. I was at the beach last weekend, and I'm not the guy that's going to say, I'm getting off the grid. No, I'm not. I'm still checking my email. I had my phone with me at the beach. Now, I'm not building spreadsheets or anything like that, but it's something that we're ingrained that it's almost impossible to shut it down completely.
I will try as much as I can, especially when we land in Frankfurt. My cousin Wolfgang lives in Frankfurt. He and his wife Simone, and they have 2 little ones who we have not met yet. So
one of them is very new.
Yes, we are very, very excited to meet our newest little cousins and spend a little time with them and kind of get off the grid, but I'll still be checking email.
And since we have lots of people tuning in and listening right now, this is my official decree. Anna, if you're listening, Anna is one of our cousins.
Right.
I promise that in the next year, no matter where in the world it may be, I will finally come see you because I have never heard the end of it. Dad and Mom have gone a couple times to Germany in the past few years, and I am way overdue for a trip to Anna too. So at some point in time, I'll be enjoying that too. And I thank you in advance, Dad, for covering for me while I'm gone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And Anna, by the way, flights actually come on this side of the pond.
And I did not say that because she's done that a couple times since I've flown to her.
I feel like we're airing some family grievances here right now. Kicking with the Rickens. Hey, you can meet the entire team at rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN, rickenfinancial.com, or keep this number close, 314-207-6211 to take advantage of the purpose approach. We'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. So as we're talking about flying to the other side of the world, our sky miles are increasing, our sky miles are decreasing, but one thing that is staying the same, and that's tax rates. We're going to spend some time this weekend here talking about your tax strategy. So when you talk about tax rates staying the same, Heidi, Ricken, Provost, Gerry, Ricken, what do you mean by that?
If we were sitting here having this discussion about a year ago, Mark, every single topic we talked when it came to tax planning, we were trying to get ahead of when the Trump tax law was going to sunset, because the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 was supposed to sunset at the end of this year. So January 1st of 2026, we would have been at higher tax rates.
So sunsetting simply means it's ending.
Yeah. In order for that to get passed, they had to put a deadline on it. So the deadline was the end of this year. So for years, the conversation around tax planning has been, how do we get on top of this before our tax rates go back up? Well, we do have a new tax law change. It went into effect on July 4th, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And when you look at the OBA, as I'll call it, because it'll take us forever to spit out all the other words. When you look at the OBA, it says that it's permanent now that our tax rates are going to be staying the same. Now, I say it says that it's permanent because we know for a fact there is no such thing as permanence in the tax law. Tax law may as well be written with pencil. It's always up for negotiation. And every election, every administration, we know there's always going to be changes. But what it did do is, in effect, get rid of the sunset provision, and we still have our lower tax rates come January 1st. So what does this actually mean for us? Because, you know, when we talk taxes, some of you are sitting here cross-eyed like, oh, they're going to talk taxes. What does that even mean? At the end of the day, you have the opportunity of time to do some forward advanced tax planning because your tax rates aren't going to automatically click up into a higher rate come January 1st. So what this new bill has given us is the opportunity of time to do some form of tax planning.
And that's very, very important to have these tax rates where they are, because it gives us more flexibility than ever before.
Some of the strategies that they'll be implementing, we wouldn't have been able to implement because we didn't have the opportunity of time. And we all know time is valuable.
Yeah.
You know, think about the time that my dad's going to be able to spend with our cousins in Germany. That's something you can never get back. So being given the gift of time now for tax planning, there is so much that we can take advantage of while we have the opportunity to do so before our tax rates come up. And that's what we would love to talk to you about, because I know that taxes can be an incredibly complicated topic. You might be sitting here, and I was kind of joking saying it earlier, but if taxes make you go cross-eyed, we like to put it in real world terms for you, and we can kind of dumb it down and explain exactly what things look like or could look like for you. So we'd love to have that discussion. Give us a call at 314-207-6211, 6211. And we can chat about it and see if there are any tax plans that you could put into your financial plan for the future and, take advantage of the wealth of time that we've been given from this act.
Well, as we're having a good conversation this weekend about your tax strategy, I want you to hear this. RG3, Robert Griffin III, former quarterback of the Commanders. Now, back in 2012, he signed a rookie contract for $21 million. And he tells the Mighty podcast that this was his first real money moment and his first real money educational moment.
So when I was signed in the NFL, signing bonus was $14 million. So I signed it. They tell me, hey, it's going to get paid out over 6 months or whatever. So then when I get the full signing bonus, I only got, and I say only respectfully, $6.9 million. So less than 50%. I called my agent immediately. I'm distraught. And I'm like, oh my God, they took all the money out. Where is the $14 million? And he's like, Rob, it's taxes. You didn't tell me that they were going to take half of the signing bonus.
Celebrities. They're just like us.
Or are they?
Yeah. Well,
the numbers may be a little different.
However, it is a shocker to a lot of people on what they pay in tax, especially when they're retirees. Because we believe retirees are the most disadvantaged taxpayers in America.
Thankfully, some of the tax penalties have been updated in most recent years because there used to be a 50% tax penalty in place for required minimum distributions back in the past. But more often than not, the conversations we're having with prospects and clients alike are, why on earth am I paying so much in taxes when I'm retired? I don't have a paycheck coming in anymore. Why am I paying so much? This is crazy. The unfortunate reality is taxes don't retire when you do. That's right. The IRS is going to hang out no matter what. Some people will say Uncle Sam doesn't retire. Uncle Sam, I don't mind the image of Uncle Sam and giving him a few of my dollars. But if we put the IRS in perspective here, it's rough. They don't retire when you do. You still have to come up with some form of tax planning. Whether you're in retirement or nearing it or 20 years away, you have to have a plan in place because come April 15th every year, you still have to file that tax return. And if you don't have a stream of income coming in anymore, it's even tougher to cut those checks to the IRS.
And RG3 said it best, or without saying it. It's not what you make, it's what you take home. It's what you take home after you pay those taxes that's important. And that's what we need. That's what we strive to structure. How can we improve the amount you keep in your pocket and decrease taxes in retirement? That's what our firm's all about. We do lots of other things. We do money management. We do risk analysis. We do life insurance planning. We do long-term care planning. We do Medicare planning. We do estate legacy. Bottom line is,
because we are holistic planners, we want to make sure we're not giving you advice in a vacuum. So that's why we do all those things. But at the end of the day, we put a tax lens on all of it.
We put a tax lens on all of it because it's the most important thing. It's the biggest expense you will have in your lifetime is taxation.
Right. And if you don't plan for it properly, say your lifetime ends, because unfortunately, the reality is every single person's going to die at some point in time. So when we're no longer here, if you didn't advance plan for the unknowns for your demise, the IRS could end up being your biggest beneficiary of all of those funds that you have worked so hard to accumulate and set aside for the future and create your financial legacy with. And wouldn't that be horrible to think that you worked all of these years and set all of that money aside for the IRS to benefit the most? We want to help your family make sure they're in the best position to benefit from your funds. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. There are some beautiful things that were introduced in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the OBA, that can help kind of take advantage of some of that for the future.
One of the things that was put into place, the president wanted to reduce or eliminate tax on Social Security. Well, that did not happen. Let me repeat that. That did not happen. We still have tax on Social Security. However, to alleviate that and to circumvent that a little bit and help in that process, we do have a temporary standard deduction increase for seniors. That's if you're 65 or above. And this actually does sunset in 2028. So it's through the tax year 2028. So it's a short-lived provision, but every senior 65 and above is going to get an additional $6,000 of standard deduction increase. So if you're filing jointly, that's $12,000. So that will eliminate a lot of taxation on Social Security for a lot of people.
Also, quick caveat, this is the IRS. When the IRS is involved, there's always some sort of weird limitation in there. So there are income limitations on that. And if you'd like to know if you will be affected by the income limitations, or if you can take advantage of this additional standard deduction, or how to do so, please give us a call at 314-207-6211, because every single person has a different tax situation.
Yeah.
We have no idea, what your tax situation is until we meet with you, but we'd love to meet with you and see how this may affect you. So if you'd like to talk more about that, just give us a buzz at 314-207-6211 or head over to rickenfinancial.com.
And when we talk about taxation of Social Security, it's a weird taxation out there. And I won't go into the calculation right now, but taxation of Social Security doesn't really have to rely on additional temporary additions of an additional tax deduction out there, a standard deduction. We can structure your assets so that you don't pay tax on Social Security.
Because your Social Security tax is based upon income coming into you outside of Social Security as well. So there are so many different streams of income you could have coming into you in retirement. And one of those that you may want to make sure you can maximize for the future, may be potentially wonderful for you, would be a Roth account.
A Roth is an account that you pay tax on the money going in. So this is after-tax money going in. But when it grows and when you take it out, you never pay tax again in your lifetime.
And since we're talking IRS, there are a couple caveats there. For it to be tax-free, you have to be over the age of 59 and a half, and it has to be in Roth form for 5 years.
If I had a nickel for every time Heidi has said those two items there, I wouldn't have to worry about
Sky
my
Miles
trip to Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't, because you'd be able to maximize a Roth contribution with all those nickels added up there. You can contribute to a Roth during your working years. So if you have a 401k right now or an employer-sponsored plan of some sort while you're working, you can contribute either to traditional or Roth. There's pros and cons of both, but I'll tell you, if it were me, I would contribute more into a Roth than a traditional, because I'd be able to save some taxes in the future by getting ahead of the problem. Because at the end of the day, there's two rules of thought. If you're going to garden, think about the tiny little packet of seeds you're going to plant in your garden, okay? If you had to pay tax on that versus the entire harvest, that could be 10, 20, 40 fold from those seeds. Would you rather pay tax on the harvest or the seeds? I want to pay tax on the seeds before it grows into something bigger. I'll also tell you, there's a huge common misconception, because the tax law is so complicated that even when people dumb it down for us, sometimes you hear these things and there's these talking heads and no one really knows what the answer is, but there's a huge common misconception. So a lot of people believe that they might make too much money to contribute to their own Roth 401k. There are no income limitations when it's an employer-sponsored plan that has a Roth option that you're going to put money into. So if you do make a lot of money, you might not be able to open your own Roth account at a different firm outside of your employer, but there are no income limitations on that. So
there's a cap each year that the IRS sets for contributing to a 401k, but that cap does not include the match. So that's above the match. That's your cap. So, and if you're above a certain age, you get to contribute more.
So please just know, if your employer has a Roth option at work, you're able to contribute to that Roth option at work. If you're confused, please know you're also not alone, and we'd love to have the chat with you, kind of break it down, show you, let's put some numbers together and forecast what the tax could look like, because we want every single person to make an informed decision. We don't just give blanket advice as a whole. You, especially when it comes to your taxes, you need to be making informed decisions for how to forward plan for your taxation. So it can begin with the purpose approach with us. Let's take a purposeful approach for how you want to live in retirement. And let's take a look at the taxation and how you might be able to reduce taxation in the future. All begins with a phone call at 314-207-6211. 314-207-6211, or head over to rickenfinancial.com. And let's begin the conversation and see how you can forward plan for some of the taxes in your retirement.
As we have a great discussion here this weekend on Kickin with the Rickens about your tax strategy. You mentioned before we got started that you have a couple of great seminars coming up, October 8th, October 9th, where the full discussion will be nothing but taxes.
You know, Heidi and I pride ourselves in educating people, and we do that in several different ways. One of the ways is our radio program. One of the ways is our podcast. Another way is we hold seminars around the St. Louis area. We're holding one in South County at Trattoria Toscana. And what this seminar will be based on is tax-free retirement. And that is focusing on the areas in which you can focus so that you don't pay taxes in retirement. We go through an hour's worth of, you'll feel like you're drinking through from a fire hose, because we have a lot of information in an hour. Then we allow you to have a dinner on us. Call 314-207-6211 to see if you qualify for that, because we would love to have you attend and just see what it's all about.
And the name of the show is Kickin with the Rickens, not Cooking with the Rickens, because now as we continue our conversation about your tax strategy, what does salt have to do with any of this, Gerry Ricken? Heidi Ricken Provost.
Well, a lot of you just had lunch and you may or may not have used salt and pepper, but this is not the salt that we're talking about this time. This is state and local income tax, SALT. And that acronym has been floated out there for several years, because
most of us didn't even think about this until tax law went into effect, where we thought about it.
That's exactly right. So state and local income tax had a cap on it of $10,000 for the last several years.
Before we get into that,
yes,
what does that cap mean? Because when you file your tax return, you have two options for how to reduce your adjusted gross income before it becomes taxable income.
Yes.
Your first option is you take the standard deduction. And if you don't owe a lot of money on a home, or have high state and local income taxes, or charitable deductions, or medical, deductions, something like that, if you don't have those, then most people will be taking the standard deduction, because our standard deduction is pretty darn high nowadays.
And with the bonus with 65 and over now, it's even higher for the next few years.
That's what we're talking about here, is standard deduction versus what we call itemizing. And if you itemize on your tax return, it used to be called the quote unquote long form, but you're going to file a different schedule, a Schedule A, that shows here's how much state and local taxes I'm paying. Here's how much money I gave to charity, how many things I gave away to charity. My
mortgage interest.
Exactly. You'll have your mortgage interest in there as well, and then potentially some deduction from your medical expenses. But that's kind of what we're talking about here, is the difference between your standard deduction and itemizing. So what's the big change that happened from OBA on the SALT, Dad?
SALT, the state and local income taxes, the cap was raised from $10,000 to $40,000. That's a huge increase. But a lot of people were forced into taking the standard deduction because of the cap on salt in the past. And now they may be able to take advantage of that.
Yes, you may be able to take advantage of that if you fall into the income limitations, because we're dealing with the IRS again. So, of course, every single person is going to have a different answer for whether they can take advantage of itemizing because of the additional SALT cap or not. If you really have no idea what the hell we're talking about, or you need some help here, give us a call at 314-207-6211. You can enjoy a salty little treat while you're meeting with us, because we do have snacks all over the place. And yes, we do have drinks too as well to, quench the thirst when we do talk about the salt here. This can happen between now and 2029, and it may or may not affect your taxes. But at the end of the day, if you're close, say you can reduce your taxable income by that like $30,000. If your state and local income taxes are around 30, and you need some other things that you can add into your bucket here, so you might be able to itemize. There's some creative ways you can combine efforts to itemize. So if you're a charitably inclined person, yeah, you can give money away to charity all the time. You can give your things away to charity and they'll count, as long as they're not a human being named Charity. They're a true 501c3 in the IRS tax law. You might be able to combine some donor advised funds in here too, because what a lot of people don't know is that if you're going to put money into donor advised funds, you can take a charitable deduction in your tax return to do so. So
in the year in which you funded the donor advised fund. So you can load up 5 years worth of contributions into 1 year and take that as a deduction if you're itemizing. The other thing what we can do is we can bundle deductions. And bundling deductions just simply means the way the timing of when you pay things. If you would pay things in December and January, why not pay both of them in December and get 2 years worth of deduction in 1 year?
So we know that
taxes.
State and local taxes always have to be paid. Your
Right.
property tax, your real estate tax, all that stuff has to be paid. Hey, if you can pay 2 years in this year, why not get ahead of next year's taxes if it's going to bump you up and be able to reduce your taxable income even more?
And bump it up against that $40,000 limit. Don't pay any more than that. But you have a $40,000 cap on state and local income taxes. So why not pay up to $40,000 this year, then do the same thing the following year?
And if you don't want to crunch the numbers yourself, or you need a little bit of help figuring out how close you are to towing that line, or if this even makes sense for you, that's when we'd love to step in and help you proactively plan for your future. So all the clients that we meet with, we put tax plans together for them for their financial future. And we do all of our planning on a complimentary basis. So if you'd love to go through the purpose approach, where we take a purposeful approach to your retirement, how do you want to spend your time? That's where we begin. And then we plan your financial future around how you want to spend your time and take a look at the taxes. Let's start the conversation. See if this SALT cap makes a difference for you, or a lot of the other tax law changes that are being put into effect, because at the end of the day, every single person we meet with is going to have a different answer, whether this affects them or not. So give us a call at 314-207-6211 or head over to rickenfinancial.com, RICKEN financial.com, so we can begin this conversation, because at the end of the day, it may or may not affect your financial future, but it doesn't hurt you to spend a little time with us and put a plan in place.
If you want to learn more, we have a multitude of episodes out there on our podcast platform. Kickin with the Rickens. Just look up Kickin with the Rickens on anywhere you listen to podcasts and search for taxes. We have lots and lots of things about that. In fact, we did maybe an 8-part series on taxation. Take a listen and learn. And if you'd also like to learn something, come to one of our seminars. We have another tax-free retirement seminar coming up in November, on November 11th and 12th, out at Bishop's Post in Chesterfield. So we have events all over town. You can reach those on our website at rickenfinancial.com. Just look on the events page, or just call us and ask. 314-207-6211.
Our job is to help educate you about your financial future. And we don't feel like we do it justice unless we're educating you about how taxes are going to impact you, because that's one thing none of us can avoid. Yeah. If you don't proactively plan for the future, you can't avoid taxes. We always have to file them. And we never want you to have a nasty surprise come April. So we really feel like that's why we were put here on this earth, is to help bring some education and insight into how taxes are going to affect you in your financial future, and what you might be able to employ in your financial plan for retirement, so that those taxes, you don't feel the impact as strongly. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, we'd absolutely love to talk to you. 314-207-6211. We have people standing by every single weekend to take some calls for us, and we'd love to begin the conversation with you.
You've mentioned it a couple of times, Gerry. The purpose approach. It's what you offer at Ricken Financial. Go in depth. Detail that for me. What is the purpose approach?
Well, when we sit down with people, we want to know what you're going to do when you retire. A lot of people say, I just can't wait to retire. And then we ask them, what are you going to do? What's your day going to look like? Quite frankly, a lot of people have not thought about that. Mm-hmm. And we've seen this in the past. Early on, when we were doing this kind of planning, we had a couple who didn't have a plan. And they didn't have a plan, and it didn't work out well. They didn't last very long. And because they didn't have a purpose any longer. They just retired and just kind of meandered and watched television and, quite frankly, just wasted away.
Right.
And we don't want that to happen, people. We want to have you retire with purpose and live with joy. We believe we are put on this earth to have a good time, to spend time with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, and just really make a difference in what makes a difference to you, and what feeds your soul now and what feeds your soul in retirement, because there's two different things there. If you're very actively involved in the community while you're working and you're doing a lot of philanthropic things, you're on boards and working with charities and volunteering in the community and keeping as busy as you possibly can, then we probably don't have an issue to talk about because you do have other things than your work life. But when you spend the majority of your time at work, that's what feeds your soul because you're around people, you're making an impact, you're changing things, you're doing it, you're contributing on a daily basis. You enjoy what you're doing. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you should come talk to us to see if we can get you retired sooner rather than later, or we can introduce you to all kinds of different people in all kinds of different career paths, and maybe you can choose one of those. Most of us out there are feeding our souls while we're working. And when I say feeding your soul, what makes you get out of bed in the morning and you want to make an impact on the world? That's what we're talking about. Well, when you close that door for the last time and the door closes behind you on a Friday, on Monday, and every Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, from that point forward for the rest of your life, what are you going to do? What are you going to spend your time doing? And when we say the purpose approach, we start with what's your purpose?
Yeah.
What is your purpose in retirement? We want to sit down and find out if you thought about that. If you haven't thought about that, it's probably time to start thinking about it right now. If you're out there driving around listening to the radio, what is your purpose going to be when you walk out of the office for the last time? When you sell your business, when you walk away and you're in retirement, what does that life look like? We want to make sure you've thought about that. That's the most important thing to answer immediately is what are you going to do with your time? Then we take a purposeful approach of every other aspect of retirement planning. What's your income plan going to be? What's your taxation plan going to be? How do those feed your purpose? How do those feed and help provide income and provide lower taxation to enable you to do the things you want to do and the things you're planning on doing in retirement? Not only your normal expenses, but what are your extraordinary expenses? You know, every day in retirement is a Saturday. And what day do you spend the most amount of money typically when you're working? It's on Saturday because you have the time to go around to the hardware store, to go shopping, to go out to dinner. Every day in retirement is Saturday. So we design your income plan around that. We look at a very purposeful approach on what your assets look like and what's that taxation of those assets look like. Is there a way that we can restructure your assets to reduce taxation in retirement? Our overall goal is to get you tax-free in retirement. Mm-hmm. Some people we can do that with. A lot of people we can do that with. If you have large pensions, it's going to be tougher. So what we do is we say, okay, let's look at that. Is there an opportunity to look at what your long-term plan would be in the event you needed help? If you can't do two of your activities of daily living, and you need assistance health-wise, what do you want that to look like? After we determine what that looks like for you, then we say, okay, how can we plan for that? What can we do to mitigate the risk of your overall retirement plan and make sure that you and your loved ones are taken care of the way you want to be taken care of? We look at Medicare planning. That's a whole alphabet soup out there that confuses a lot of people. We try to make it very simple. And we want to make sure that you select the plan that best fits your doctors and your health care. We look at what's your investment plan look like? What is your risk tolerance? And what do you really define as risk? How are you comfortable with in losing principal? What percentage of your portfolio is that? We work with you to make sure that you are investing the way you feel comfortable investing, your risk tolerance. We look at life insurance. A lot of people say, well, I don't need life insurance, but what does life insurance really look like? You may not need it for death benefit, but there are living benefits in life insurance out there. So when I say living benefits, there are ways that you can put money into a life insurance plan, reduce the death benefit, and use it as a retirement income tool. So there are all kinds of things. There are also life insurance plans that will pay for long-term care. You can spend down your death benefit while you are alive. Now, that's a very unusual concept. Death benefits are usually paid out after you're gone. But if you need long-term care assistance, you can spend down your death benefit while you're alive. And that allows you to keep the money in the family in the event you don't need long-term care. And I hope every listener out there doesn't need it, because I hope and pray that we resolve some of these issues health-wise so that we don't need people needing long-term care. But in the event you do, and the statistics tell us right now that 7 out of 10 of us will need that, you can use money that would otherwise, if you don't use that money, it will stay in the family. It'll go to your beneficiaries. So there are all kinds of things that we look at with a very, very strict focus and a laser focus that says, okay, what do we believe can help you and optimize your overall retirement plan by taking a very purposeful approach to each perspective and each concept of it.
To take advantage of the purpose approach from the team at Ricken Financial, we invite you to call this weekend, 314-207-6211, 314-207-6211. Retire with purpose, live with joy. From Gerry, Ricken, Heidi, Ricken, Provost, and the team at Ricken Financial. The Purpose Approach is available right now when you make the phone call or reach out online at rickenfinancial.com. Really good conversation this weekend about your tax strategy and maybe some of the misconceptions. And something that you brought up a little bit earlier that there's some layers to it, Gerry. So I want you to kind of give me the Cliff Notes version that it could be very beneficial, whether you voted for the man or you did not. Trump accounts, what are those?
Well, Trump accounts got put into place with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. In essence, they are a IRA for children. The way it's going to work is in July of next year. These don't start until July of 2026, so we have a little bit of time to prepare. But in July of 2026, you'll fill out your income tax return by April 15th of next year. You'll check a box. If you had a child born 25, 26, 27, in those 3 years, $1,000 of taxpayer funds will go into an account. It'll be invested in like the S&P 500, and then families can contribute, families and their employers contribute up to $5,000 per year up to age 18. At age 18, it becomes the child's IRA, actually the adult's IRA at that point. Then it falls under IRA rules for the rest of their life. I ran the numbers, and interestingly enough, if you had a 7% rate of return in these accounts and you funded it with that $90,000 plus $1,000 up front, by the time the child is 18, it'll be $185,000. When they're 59 and a half and they can take it out without any penalties, it's $3.1 million.
Yes, sir.
And the numbers even get better if you take the history of the S&P 500 back to 1957. Even the last 30 years at 10.42%, we're looking at $268,000 or over $17 million by the time they're 59 and a half, and they can access that money without penalties.
Well, you talk about Father of the Year, Mother of the Year moving forward. Best Father's Day, best Mother's Day ever when you set up an account like that for your kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And interestingly enough, if your child is younger than 18 next year, you can set it up and put that $5,000 in. It's just the key that there won't be $1,000 contribution for those kids because they weren't born in 25, 26, or 27. But anyone born before 2025, you can set up a Roth or a Trump account as well.
So to get more information about the Trump accounts and how it could benefit your kids and the grandkids, we invite you to reach out to the team at Ricken Financial, 314-207-6211. Really good conversation this weekend about your tax strategy. To hear it again, we invite you to stream the podcast. You can get it at rickenfinancial.com or Kickin with the Rickens wherever you find your favorite shows. Well, Gerry, Heidi, thank you for the information and the education this weekend. Before we get out of here, Gerry, Ricken, Heidi, Ricken, Provost, take us home.
Every day is a holiday.
Life is short. Laugh hard.
This has been Kickin with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.
Tax preparation and tax advisory services are offered through Ricken Financial. These services are not offered by IPW and are not subject to investment advisor requirements. These services referenced are an outside business activity not offered through or supervised by IPW.